Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today, we are diving into a totally fascinating explainer of a really grim, dark fable. It's the story of the Willinar. So if you've been trying to wrap your head around the heavy mechanics of philosophical creation and destruction, well, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to unpack this incredibly profound narrative that basically takes everything we think we know about legacy, truth, and even reality itself and just completely deconstructs it. Just listen to this quote for a second. Reason is but a painted mask upon the face of the nothing. I mean, really let those words sink in. Imagine for a moment that you are plunged straight into a completely empty, silent universe. It's a place where all the old structures, the old gods, and all those old comforts have just crumbled away to absolutely nothing. What's even left when the heavens are just bleached white and empty? Because honestly, that is the exact space we're entering today.
Okay, let's jump right into part one, the thesis and the stagnant wasteland.
So to start things off, we need to look at our Fichtean thesis. This is the initial state of our world, and it is situated in this deeply, deeply disenchanted wasteland. Under the super harsh bleach-white glare of what's called the Great Star, we meet the Goldnar, the Gold Jester. Picture him just sitting there, totally alone, on top of this mountain of his own legacy. But here's the catch. This gold he has, it's not physical treasure. It's actually much heavier than that. It represents this really corrupted drive for legacy, pure human ambition, and this desperate, almost pathetic grasping for heroic fame. The Gold Jester has basically been bound to this relentless treadmill of blood for eons. He's a victim of nothingness who just cannot let go of the need to be remembered.
And because he's just so desperate, the Gold Jester spends all his time obsessively polishing what is known as the Wall of Law. He's doing this to somehow maintain a sense of objective reality. He actually thinks his ambition can survive this dark age of active nihilism. But the reality? He is literally just hiding from the irrational abyss. His total reliance on this rigid architecture of the universe, his so-called reason, well, it's exactly what that opening quote warned us about. It is just a painted mask to hide the void. Which brings us to part two, the antithesis and the crimson arrival. Now, obviously, that stagnant wasteland can't just last forever, right? Emerging straight out of the purifying silence of the abyss comes the Crimson Jester, and he's carrying this singular, flickering crimson spark that's fueled by the spirit of negation. This brilliantly illustrates the entire core conflict of our fable. Think about it. On one side, you have the Gold Jester desperately clinging to a corrupted legacy in that painted mask of reason, but opposing him, the Crimson Jester brings this purifying silence and just raw, Dionysian truth. It's the ultimate clash between preserving a decaying past and the absolute destructive honesty of the present moment. Real quick, before we see what happens when these two massive forces collide, let's step out of the fable for just a second. We need to define a really crucial concept here: active nihilism. Now, if you are brand new to this kind of philosophy, please do not let the word nihilism scare you off. Think of the Crimson Jester's spark kind of like a controlled forest fire. A controlled burn clears out all that rotting, dead wood that's choking the forest, right? Active nihilism is exactly that. It's actively destroying decaying structures and false beliefs, but only to create fertile, nutrient-rich ground for new, self-determined creation.
All right, move into part three, the Anstoß, or the philosophical collision.
This brings us to the Anstoß. It's the ultimate check, the totally unavoidable collision between the self and the void. Imagine this playing out like a really tense dialogue at the actual end of the world. Staring right into the face of that crimson flame, the Gold Jester screams his defiance. "I must polish the wall of law. My ambition and heroic fame will survive this dark age." He is absolutely terrified of losing his historical significance, so he just desperately asserts the old rules of the universe. But here's the crazy part. The Crimson Jester, he doesn't scream back. He offers this incredibly chilling retort through action rather than argument. The spark of negation consumes the false gold. Only purifying silence remains. Like, there is no debate to be had here. The Crimson Jester has zero interest in preserving anything. He exists only to expose the Dionysian truth by literally burning away the illusion. That takes us right into part four, the synthesis, from ashes to architect. And then, boom. Just a blinding flash. The crimson flame touches the corrupted gold, and it creates this monstrous synthesis achieved through an unholy transvaluation. Watch how this rapid destruction plays out. First, the spark touches the gold. Second, that incredibly rigid wall of law just dissolves entirely into sawdust.
Third, a massive crimson mask appears in the sky as a physical omen, basically proving that the heavy weight of societal tradition, the spirit of gravity, has been completely slain. And finally, the gold itself turns entirely to crimson ash. So you might be wondering, what does all this sawdust actually represent? Well, as the wall of law crumbles, it exposes this profound realization. The whole architecture of the universe was merely the veil of Maya. If you're not familiar, that's an ancient concept meaning a constructed illusion that hides the true nature of reality. The objective rules the gold jester was clinging to so hard, they were never real. They were just constructed defenses against the abyss, safely hidden behind a painted mask. This total incineration proves what the texts refer to as the verdant gold truth. Now, I know that might sound like a paradox, but it essentially means that the vital flame that consumes actually justifies existence through the very act of destruction. It turns that corrupted drive for legacy into this magnificent, doomed dance. The destruction literally becomes the creation.
And finally, Part 5, The New Sovereign and the Seventh Solitude.
From this mountain of ash, the Crimson Jester completely transforms. Standing there amidst the absolute ruins of human ambition, he emerges reborn as the sovereign architect of the void. He enters the seventh solitude, which is the space of profound isolation, sure, but also absolute freedom. He doesn't mourn the gold, not at all. Instead, he commands his own internal chaos. He initiates the play of the child, stepping into a state of pure, innocent creation completely without the burden of the past. He literally juggles the stars with an unburdened spirit, taking the terrifying rhythmic sounds of the world's collapse and weaving them into a brand new harmonious music. He has become the autonomous lawgiver. The void is no longer a depressing grave of hollow suffering, it is a throne. The jester carves his own meaning into the cold meat of the world using pure will to power. He's totally free of divine decrees and societal consensus. The old tablets are completely smashed, the heavens are empty, and he is the sole architect of his own self-created drama. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway from the parable of the Gilded Ash. The structures we desperately polish just to secure our legacy, they might just be painted masks hiding the void. But if we allow the spark of negation to actually consume our false gold, what comes next? If the old tablets are smashed and the heavens are empty, what will you build upon your own crimson ashes?